as we're heading out, hear the battle drums. Carrier drops in these war-torn grounds. The sky is filled with a deafening sound. Loadouts checked, our nerves are tight. It's chaos out there, but we're ready to fight. Outnumbered, outgunned, our ships torn asunder. Canopy smashed, but we won't go under. There are too many and we're too few. Is this fight too much for us to break through? We're lost in the fray. Canopy's gone as the swarm comes to play. Heal the route, systems start to fail. They're closing in fast, their strength prevails. Too many to count and far too strong. This might be the end, we may not have long. Outnumbered, outgunned, our ships torn asunder. Canopy smashed, but we won't go under. There are too many and we're too few. Is this fight too much for us to break through? We look to each other, we know what to do. Training kicks in, we form our ranks. Together we stand, there's no turning back. Outnumbered, outgunned, our ships torn asunder. Canopy smashed, but we won't go under. There are too many and we're too few. Is this fight too much for us to break through?
Oh, 7 Commanders, glory to mankind, welcome to this live stream. We have Mechan Unlocked, since Frontier Unlocked has been axed, and the expectation that we were gonna hear from our friends in August in a sort of live setting have been dashed. There is no Frontier Unlocked today, and there won't be anymore pretty much ever. In fact, we've been informed that our British friends will now use YouTube as a means to communicate updates to us in closer to real time, so quote, not having to wait until the end of a month, in X post and social media post that was something that they were excited to tell us about, like, which to me sounds like complete and utter corporate jargon saying, hey, we're excited to tell you that you're going to get something less or you're not going to get something anymore, which is really not exciting, but I guess they're excited. And welcome, Commander Vertichan. And by the way, for those who are streaming on various platforms, you should know that there's a vertical stream and there's a horizontal stream. And as a result, you may want to switch between one or the other. I would imagine that YouTube is smart enough to be able to tell if you're on a mobile platform or not, and as a result, place you on the vertical stream or on the horizontal stream, but that might be a little bit too much wishful thinking, and as a result, there's people who are probably on the wrong one. So if you're on the wrong one, you may want to switch. Just know that both exist. In fact, we are multi-streaming to both YouTube, well, both to YouTube, Switch, and Kick. I actually would love to see my preview on Kick, but unfortunately I don't see it. But I do see that I'm live, and I think this is a bug in the web implementation of Kick that it doesn't show me a preview. So, here's what it is. Anyway, the chat should be common down at the bottom of the screen. And I think I managed to configure it more or less decently also on the mobile version. Although the mobile version is probably a little bit too low, so we're going to move it a little bit up, and that should do the trick. There you go. Now that one is all nice and set. Let's put some music on. Let's put some music on from the kind of new experimental album that we have. Again, you guys can tell me volume wise how it is. I give it a little bit more decibels so I can for myself. This might be kind of, yeah, it should be generally fine. It is nice with the kitty. Did you read the forum post that explains the settings for for RTX HDR because it's like pretty much essential to make it work as intended. If not, I can post it in the chat if you haven't seen it. But maybe you have. This is the RTX HDR setting, which in my personal opinion should have been made the default, but it hasn't. So it should be one. It's coming up a bit loud. Yeah, I think I raised the volume a little bit too much here, so I can lower it a little bit. There we go. That should be fine. Oh, the food bar is way too loud. Alright, we got that sorted. And this looks good, I think. Yep, everything looks good now. Volume-wise, at least. It's still not working as intended. So this is Mechan Unlocked, so we can talk about a bunch of things. Are the commands working? Hey, mediocre. Fargo didn't work or did work? I think it should have worked. I wasn't paying attention because I was trying to fix some of my stuff here and in the background. But see if I can test the command while I'm here. Action cues. Fargoid. Test the trigger. Yeah, it works. See, I'm Fargoized with a Hydra in the background. Well, that skill issue is exclamation mark skill. Like, you gotta learn the commands, mediocre. Like, that's exclamation mark skill. Right. Now that is a skill issue. Like, not even being able to type skill. That shake works. Yeah, the commands are working. Firechan, yeah. There you go. We got the fireworks. We got a few things kind of working as intended. Yeah, there's a global cooldown of like 10 seconds, and there's a per user cooldown of 30 seconds. So, like, you gotta wait 10 seconds since the last time somebody used it to kind of like work. I owe you a Coke. Why do I owe you a Coke? How am I streaming twice? I'm streaming 4 times actually. I'm streaming YouTube horizontal, YouTube vertical, Twitch horizontal, and Kick horizontal. So this is multi-streaming at its peak. At its peak. I'm actually trying to get also on TikTok since I have a vertical stream going on YouTube anyway, but that takes some steps. So that, all right, cool. Live streaming working as intended. I think the screen quality is a bit tricky because, and thank you for a follow, Gutierrez. The tricky part that I still need to kind of sort out specifically is YouTube for this resolution wants a much higher bitrate than Twitch does, and I can actually do split encoding, but I didn't configure it properly. So in this stream, you're all getting 6 kilobits and the same quality, versus like when I actually get it fixed, that we should get the encoder working at different bit rates for different things. I don't think I can do it while I'm live. Unless it might kind of, yeah, I can't override the settings where I'm live. I'll have to do it next time we start the stream. And if I stop and start the stream, all hell is going to break loose, so I can't do it right now. It's like one of the skill issues. Again, you should try skill. You haven't tried skill, exclamation mark skill yet. But, do we think Frontier feels any pressure to add walk-up or shipping tiers after No Man's Sky update this week? No, I think I could care less. That's my flat answer. I think Elite in general is like in a hyper low investment basis. In fact, I don't know if you sign up for this to actually go through like a bunch of like financial statements and whatnot, but I actually did go through the financial statements of Frontier Developments, and also when it comes to Elite, I try to get a sense of like how much revenue Elite was making. And the answer I got in terms of the last fiscal year, which I think goes May to May for Frontier, so it's a bit odd, but is they made $7 million of revenue last year on Elite. Revenue, not profit, bear in mind. 7 million of revenue once you factor in like all the expenses of running the servers and like support and the other basic stuff is really kind of peanuts, even though it has grown significant from the previous year. $7 million is very much a game that is like in super legacy maintenance mode, and can't really come close to compete with like the 800 million that Scam Citizen has raised to date. And actually don't really know where No Man's Sky gets its funding from. I feel like it's just a passion project of the developers that just keep doing it because they have like a it's my baby kind of thing, or I don't know. Like, yeah, I know it's crazy low radioactive. It's like $7 million US. And by the way, I can show you this. Like, I mean, it's like, again, you know, the thing about the internet is you should never believe what people on YouTube say, because 9 times out of 10 they are full of it, and as a result they are, you know, not very reliable. So let me see. Okay, let's go down this rabbit hole. Since this is Frontier, this is Mechan Unlocked, which shall talk somewhat about Frontier. And like, before we go down this rabbit hole, a disclaimer: I have no stock in Frontier. In fact, by the nature of a profession I have, I cannot even own individual stock, so I don't. I am not a financial analyst. I am not formally a part of the finance industry. Any of the things I talk about are my personal opinion and do not represent investment advice or non-investment advice of any kind. Disclaimer, 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 disclaimer. You've been warned. Having said that, we can pull up something like the... Hold on, let me pull this up on the Firefox browser, which is Financial Information Center. There you go. So this is the Financial Information Center, and then actually I'm going to try and see if I can put it also on the mobile version. This is not it. Give me a second and it gets sorted out on the... Is it window capture? Window capture. Yep, Firefox. Alright. Cool. I've added Firefox. I have no idea where it ended up. Alright. There we go. That's it. Alright, let me just see if I can make it a size that kind of doesn't look awful on mobile. Something like this. Put it up here. That's like somewhat visible. Alright, that's more visible. Okay, so this is, and again, this is, I've studied this, but I haven't studied this like in the formal like equity analyst level of detail that would actually form a qualified opinion on anything. So take this a little bit about, you know, what I learn and what I think with all the mistakes and failures of me as a human being. So bear in mind. Now, this is the last 5 years of the company. And as you can see, Frontier Developments had two very, very rough years in 2023 and 2024, where they lost almost 30 million pounds in terms of operating loss, and had a significant loss also on an earnings per share basis. And so the stock, if you look at the overall sort of like stock price, Frontier Developments stock price has had a really kind of really wild swing. Like if you look at the 5 years, right? Look at the stock, right? I mean, Frontier Developments, actually, I think more than stock price, the market capitalization is an even bigger indication of like how this varied over time. So I thought there was a better view. I think this was it. Yeah, this is it. This is the better graph. So this tells you, like, at its peak in April of 2021, Frontier was worth almost $2 billion. Almost $2 billion. Now, more recently, before the sort of turnaround in the last year, Frontier was worth less than $100 million. And at its lowest, it's gone down as low as 60. So the company was in a really tough spot, financially speaking. Now, there's been signs of a turnaround, and we'll get to that in a moment. And now the company is kind of like back to $200 million overall valuation. So it's trending back in the right direction, but it's still worth roughly 1/10 of what the company was worth at its peak in 2021. So what's going on like with the company as a whole? Like, I think the most important thing is like understanding, like, for one, who's who at the company, between like the directors and the significant shareholders. Like, Braben owns about a third of the company, so less than what most people think. Like, his share is 32.7%, his and his direct family members. Then there's a number of funds like Viking Capital Corporation, Working Capital, and Interactive Brokers, and they collectively own somewhere like in the ballpark of 20%. And then Tencent, which is the only kind of industry company, if you want, owns 8.6%. James Mitchell, who works at Tencent, owns 1% himself. So if you look between him and Tencent, they own roughly 10% of the company. In total, these 5 top shareholders own 2/3 of the company, with like 62% of the total, and the remaining is what is called float. That's available on the market. So the float of Frontier Developments is not completely irrelevant, but also not majorly significant. Like, Frontier is owned, for the most part, for more than 2/3 by institutional shareholders. And that is, I think, a good thing, because it gives them overall stability, financial stability, so long as those institutional shareholders are willing to back them. And obviously, Braben, I would imagine, is strongly in that category. I can't speak for the others, but I think from everything I've seen, like, they've been long-term partners of the company overall. So this is who owns Frontier, and this is who the directors are. One thing that is kind of interesting in my mind is the holdings of the chairwoman and of the CEO are actually pretty limited. Like, typically, again, in my experience, like, CEOs and chairpersons of the board have, especially CEOs, when I say chair people is a bit of a different story, but like, CEOs typically are more invested in the companies they run than having a token 50,000 shares. But then again, it varies somewhat. This was one thing that surprised me when I looked at the overall sort of director holdings of these companies. Like, the sort of second biggest shareholder is not a company insider. It's James Mitchell, who's, again, works for Tencent. So I wouldn't have expected that. I would have expected executives to have more stake in the company. And again, who are the directors? We talked a little bit about it. Well, David Braben, I think you all know. Johnny Watts is the CEO. Ilse Halling is a non-director and chairwoman, or chairman, according to this definition. Alex Bavis is the CFO. David Walsh is a non-executive director who was COO until 2018. James Mitchell is the Tencent guy who is chief strategy officer of Tencent and used to work at Goldman Sachs before that. And then Leslie Ann Reed is, actually don't know much about her. Like she's, career includes global CFO of Metal Bulletin, international metals publisher. What is a metals publisher? I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain to me like what an international metals publisher is, as I'm not sure how you would publish metals. But yeah, I mean, and she's had finance and audit. I guess she plays an audit role, which kind of makes sense given her role. Like she's the audit committee chair at Bloomsbury. And she's on the audit committee and remuneration nomination committee, which kind of makes sense from a governance standpoint. So yeah, as I mentioned, Johnny Watts, who is the CEO, like if you look again at the shareholder information, I don't even see him on here. Like, oh, John Watts, this is a guy. Yeah, he has like a effectively token 50,000 shares, like, which for a CEO owning 0.1% of a company, I don't know. It's like I found it surprising. Now, when it comes to information about Elite specifically, the information is not found in the financial statements, but it's actually found in the, I can't remember if in the trading update in June or the interim report for accounts 2025. It's actually one of these two, like, and we'll get that in a moment. I think what you make of this, like, again, I'm not gonna bore you with all the tedium of all the financial numbers. This is a key number. This is like, this tells you two things as far as the history of Elite Dangerous is concerned. So point number one, they reiterate over and over and over again that the strategy of the company is to be a CMS company. CMS stands for Creative Management Simulation Games Company. So their focus is Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, Jurassic World Evolution, F1 Manager was moderately successful, and other games like Chaos Gate floundered completely and were a total flop. Elite Dangerous is in this 7% of revenue, which, if you do the math, based on the sort of full year annual results, which I think are, I don't know if they're presented here or somewhere, like, gives you, again, you can run the math independently if you want, or we can run the math together if you want, like, tells you that the revenue of a company is at $7 million per year that we're talking about. And that, by the way, is after the franchise grew 76%, as you can see from this piece of information here, year over year. Oh gosh, pressed the wrong button here. All right. Let's go back to where we were. So this means that, like, last year, the company made something like $4 million, if my math is correct. Again, I'm not going to buy you with all this stuff, except maybe this is like, you know, current portfolio, fiscal year 26 and beyond, unannounced CMS game, which I think is the next Jurassic World game or something like that. And then again, there's some commentary like beyond here about where did it go. I had it a moment ago. I was showing you just a second. They're buying back some shares. I guess I at least show some signal like financial cash flow strength, which is good. Where did it go? Oh, there it is, 813. Again, so the Elite Dangerous franchise accounted for 7% of total revenue. So we talked about that already. That was in the pie chart we showed earlier. The franchise grew 76% year over year. Again, that tells you the 7 million is already 76% above that. The release of free new content and narrative increased player sentiment and engagement and grew a player base. That is absolutely true. I mean, the end of the Fargoid War was absolutely stellar when it comes to like to player engagement. And, like more recently, you saw the success of the Panther Clipper Mark II and of the community goals associated with it, with over 40,000 people signing up. So there's definitely a strong uptick in overall player sentiment and engagement, and in terms of regrowing and also rekindling the overall fan base. Monetization improvements, we'll talk about that in a moment, including the introduction of early access sales ships, drove an almost 150% growth in paid DLC revenue, which contributed to a 76% year-over-year growth of the franchise. Now, like, yes, there's new ships. What they failed to mention, or at least kind of bury or hide underneath this monetization improvement kind of thing, is the fact that last year they somewhere between doubled and tripled the dollar price and ARC's price of pretty much all cosmetics and ARC store item. So they've grown 150% in paid DLC. Some of that comes from the increased player sentiment, player growth, for sure. But a good chunk of that comes from the absolutely massive price increase that they pushed through to the ARC store, which I would argue, based on this number, from a business standpoint and from a business logic, actually turned out to be quite successful. It's like there's something that's to price elasticity, as in if you hike prices to a point where people just don't see the value anymore, people are going to stop buying things, and so you're going to actively make less money because the variable cost of in-game liveries is effectively zero, so it's all margin. So volume matters a lot. And so if you hike the prices to a point where you lose half of the volume, even though you double the price, then the net result is zero. What these numbers tell us is that the net result is positive. So the price hikes have worked for them. Between a combination of the price hikes and the paid DLC of ships, it's kind of hard again to kind of truly kind of make the most of and understand how this all works, because I don't know if they count the actual ship sales in the paid DLC, because if they do, then the effect of the price hikes becomes really, really questionable and really, really hard to ascertain in terms of overall effects. And then they conclude by saying Elite Dangerous is well positioned for the future, which is their nice way of saying we're not going to kill it anytime soon, which I think we appreciate as players and as gamers. But the more fundamental thing about all of this is, yes, they're not going to kill it, but effectively the whole company, and there's actually, I think, a page even before this, is really being refocused on this creative management simulation strategy. So the investment dollars of Frontier Development is going to creative management simulations. Like every time these guys wake up in the morning and think about what should we be doing, they're going to think about theme parks, dinosaurs, zoos. They're not going to think about Fargoids and Gauss cannons. Like, or at the very least, it's going to be a very, very distant last in the back of their head in terms of management capacity, in terms of investment, in terms of pretty much like company focus, I want to say. And again, I'm stating this as my interpretation, not as a statement of fact, but as my interpretation of the statements they've made. And now you've made me into a Fargoid. I've kind of like, I'm translating it into, I know, Mr. Ghost Shack, that's what I was wondering. Like, and I really love your guys' opinion. Like, what do you guys think about the idea that Frontier Developments could, and I'm not saying that I haven't talked to anybody on any inside information. This is just wishful thinking. So take it for what it is. But like, do you think there is a scenario in the world where somebody goes to Braben and says, we know you love Elite, we know how much you care about it, we know how much of your life you've dedicated to this, intellectual property. We love it as much as you do, or at least in a similar way, in a similar direction, if not that much. Is there a world where we spin Elite off of Frontier Developments and we do a new Kickstarter, a next generation Kickstarter, to begin investing in Elite again and sort of rebootstrapping the game, also from an investment standpoint? Which I don't know if from a business case standpoint it would make sense, because you make the argument, like, how on earth are you going to compete with a game like Star Citizen that has 800 million in cash sunk into all of it? But I actually kind of disagree with that point. I think a game with $10 million on hand of player-funded money or community or passionate fan money, which truly loves and truly believes in the game, can do amazing things. Possibly even better than, like, some of the biggest, like, industry names with $1 billion on hand. $1 billion, like, more money, more people, more work can create more chaos, more problems, more issues. Like, what you need core gameplay loops that are fun. What you need is a community engagement model that works and gets people together to enjoy and have fun as a group and as a community. Like, if you can put those things in, and Elite is so close from really nailing so many things on that dimension, and has so much potential in my mind. So, I don't know, I feel that, like, I'm like, it could be something that could really have a huge opportunity for rebootstrapping. But obviously, you need funding to do it. Like, I did some sort of back of the envelope math in my head, and my napkin math evaluation of what Elite Dangerous, forget the Elite franchise and brand overall, but Elite Dangerous specifically, as a 10-plus-year-old game, which, yes, has been modernized to a degree, but still has $7 million in revenue a year at some reasonable margins, let's say 20% for the sake of argument, after all things considered, which is $1.4 million a year. Like, slap a 20x multiple on that, right? That's going to be somewhere between $20 to $30 million, which is not exactly pocket change, but it's also a number that is not insane between what you can fund and what you can raise and what you can borrow to kind of, like, get a handle on a property like this. And it's just not enough, because, like, you can't just buy the property and expect to be done. Like, then you have to invest in the property. So probably you need something like 50 million or so to truly kind of go after the vision that I'm describing right now, which is significantly more than the original Kickstarter. I think the original Kickstarter, I'm kind of curious, but it was actually pretty small. Elite Dangerous Kickstarter. Like, and granted, not everything is funded, like, by Kickstarter, but if you look at the overall dollar value of the Kickstarter, like, the goal was 1.25 million pounds. And granted, they were $2014, or actually pounds in this case. So now it will be significantly more. But we're talking about 2 to 3 million. Like, we're not talking about 50, like we're talking about now. So it wouldn't be a small Kickstarter. It wouldn't be a small kind of, like, even if they were to entertain this kind of, like, super weird idea that I'm tossing out right now. And yes, obviously, allowing salvation in our hearts and believing in his return would solve our problem. I completely agree. Time to form a SPAC. Like, SPACs in my mind are a humongous scam for the most part. So, like, no, we're not doing a SPAC. If we were to do something, we wouldn't be doing a SPAC. And especially, like, SPAC generally are used to purchase and buy whole entities. I personally do not want to own a creative management simulation company, which is what Frontier is right now. I'd be very happy to own a space opera sort of game company, but I personally don't have $50 million lying around. I have some, but not $50 million lying around to sort of, like, just drop on, like, a passion project like this. But we need to write a letter to Braven from the community and sign it by all commanders. The community talent will put in millions in free development time and resources. That is true. Like if you could open it up to like something like that, I think that would be awesome. Like time for a private. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it will be more private equity actually. Yeah, like this would be more of a private equity type of initiative than a SPAC or anything like public markets. And drive me closer. You are right. You are right. Like if you're going that far, like there's an argument to be made. Like why are you buying a 10-year-old game that has a network architecture that's based on peer-to-peer, which is complete garbage and it doesn't scale? And like, well, yes, but there's something special about the Elite property and the history of a game and the story of this community and. Would it make more financial and technical sense to just create a competitor of Star Citizen like from the get-go? Yes, I agree, but it wouldn't be the same thing. It wouldn't be the same. Like what would be really good, like if you bought this as a property, like would be to buy the property and buy also an option to create a follow-on property that could evolve Elite into. Not an upgrade like Odyssey, but into a rewritten complete game, which would be kind of like. But anyway, like if any one of you has 50 million lying around and wants to fund an enterprise of like enterprising commander who's known for killing Thargoids, send me a direct message in Discord and we'll chat. Or maybe we should kind of start a like major fundraising effort. And then again, there's another interim result presentation. I'll see like what like this was like this was not it. I think this was the interim because that presentation of like where they also talk somewhat about Elite, but not in the same kind of like details or terms. But I think the key takeaway from the again financial results of this year is that there's been a turnaround at Frontier Developments and. They've stopped bleeding cash. I mean, there's also some interesting. This is, by the way, this is like historic evolution of like this is their CMS portfolio, which again they're so proud of, like their CMS company. I get it. But there's also a chart that some of you might have seen before that shows the evolution of revenue of all franchises, which is this one here, and this one actually tells you how much money Elite has made since launch, which is I personally think a very interesting number. You can see here, this orange line since launch made it all the way up to, this is slightly above the median point of 100 to 150 million pounds. I would call it 135 million pounds. So Elite, through its history, has made 135 million pounds, according to this chart, or whatever that conversion is in freedom units and dollars. That somebody can do if they want. So this is how much money Elite has made. And then again, they go on here to talk about like Elite also a little bit later, I think. But there are some implications here as well, which, by the way, we'll talk about in a moment. But once we go back to the previous one. And CMS strategy. We're a content, like we're a creative management innovation company. That's what we do, and we're gonna be focused. And which, by the way, is not bad strategy overall. Like, we might not like to hear it as fans of Elite Dangerous, but it's not bad business strategy, I will argue. Especially when you have like $800 million funded competitor in this particular niche. And this is the update on Elite that they did again for previous update. You can talk wherever you want, Mirajay. Here, Twitch, like all the chats are integrated, as you can see from the scrolling. They all show up in the same feed, so I see them wherever they're coming from. And this is the update from the previous update. And they say player numbers and base game sales have increased due to enriching the game with ongoing narrative, new features. Yeah, I guess there's some truth to that. Monetization has improved in production and sale of ships, and revenue from PDLC more than doubled. That's really pricing driven at the time. Some ships, but mostly pricing driven. Complayer. So we're a growing player base. Elite Dangerous looking well positioned for the future. Again, second consecutive statement where they say Elite is well positioned for the future. But again, if you look at the numbers and the overall story around investment, and that's the other thing that I kind of make by just looking at their financials. And I will repeat one more. Like, I'm not an equity analyst, so I'm not giving you investment advice. I'm just telling you what I read through the numbers I see, and you can decide whether I make sense or not. And again, I do not own stock in Frontier. So I was hoping that there was a full financial statement in one of these videos, but I don't think there is. So I might have to pull up a PDF to be able to show you that, because there was some substantive. Let's see if I actually downloaded it here. Yeah, see if I can pull up. I have to kind of set up a new screen to kind of like show you the actual interim financial results, as otherwise it's not a browser window, it's a PDF window. I have to pull it up. Give me a second. New, add source, window capture, Adobe Acrobat. This is not it. This is it. Automatic, blah, 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 blah. All right, I think it, yeah, showed up on top of my face here. I'll move it further down, but. All right, there we go. We can close the browser for a moment and pull up the Adobe Acrobat, which is the next thing we're gonna look at, and I'm gonna do the same for the mobile part, so give me a second. Add source, window capture. Adobe Acrobat, add source. All right, we managed to get it running also on mobile. So fit it also to kind of like actually see it while the chat is still visible. There we go. So these are the fiscal year 25 interim financial result, and this is a presentation as of January 25 for a period from 1 June to 30 November. This is where we talk about all the stuff, and this is the income statement for the first half of the year. I wanted to see if there was like a full year later. There's a bunch of reconciliations here, balance sheet and other things. But no, so we kind of have to go off of the income statement and reconciliation, which again has some interesting pieces. And let's see. NeoJ, I was looking, yes, don't forget, before they went public, they were funded entirely by their games. FDev used the money and they made from Elite to build their own whole office building in an area of a wealthy city. Frontier has always had a deep complex about wanting to be seen as a big player in the games industry. Well, I mean, at the point where they're worth $2 billion, they kind of were a big player, but because until ED literally saved their company, they were relegated to operating as a third-party support studio. Yeah, there was some of that. Like, oh, that's a bit of a strong statement. I don't know. I take your word for it. There's a goal for this game needs funding, and the current situation of we have to return for shareholders above all else. Well, I mean, there's some degree of financial viability. Like if you're losing 30 million pounds a year for 2 years in a row, at some point you gotta turn it around. Otherwise you're not going to be in business for long. You said he made his devil deal and took the money and selling FDev or taking it public. Yeah, that's not completely unreasonable. Like, don't fault him for that. But, yeah, no, I mean, you have your opinions. Like, yeah, look, everyone is entitled to their own opinions. Like, you should feel free to state them so long as they are reasonably respectful, which they certainly are, as you are stating them. I wonder what improvements could be made to the business model without becoming a cheap mobile game. Yeah, I know. It's a good question. I mean, some people have talked about a subscription model. I don't know how that would work for a 10-year-old game. Like, there's a good chance it might drive a lot of people away if they did that, but it would generate sort of degree of cash on a recurring basis if that was the case. But hard to make the case of asking people to pay 5, 10, 15 bucks a month for a game that, was made when I was a teenager, like, more or less, or an early 20 or something. Actually, no, it was made later than that. I'm thinking about from the early 2, but whatever. So anyway, the point I wanted to make here on the income statement. So, I mean, you see that the revenue and overall cost of sales is roughly the same. So that hasn't really changed, like a 1%, 2% change, but that hasn't substantially changed. So the gross profit and the gross margin remain the same. So this has really not changed between 25 and 24. What has changed in a significant manner is a number of other things. Like, for one, they did not take an impairment charge. I actually don't know what this impairment charge was about. Was it about Chaos Gate? Was it about something else? Was it about, I don't know. But they took some kind of impairment charge related to some property, so I should go and look up what this is, because it is substantial, but I don't know what it is. They didn't take impairment charges in 25, and that in and of itself was like a pretty substantial difference. Probably the most significant piece, however, is that they reduced the overall R&D expense by $5.5 million. So they cut R&D in the first half of 25 by 22%. And well, that's kind of a big deal, right? They slashed. Our R&D is investments, like how much they're investing into a company. This is candidly like one of the biggest reflections also, I think, of what's going on in Elite Dangerous, like where like the company is well positioned for the future, as they may say, but it is also significantly starved for investment, because all the remaining 20, I am willing to bet that the vast majority is going in their core strategy of creative management simulation. So involving the next Jurassic Park, the next Planet Coaster 76 versus Planet Zoo. So that's the sort of investment piece. So, I mean, if you look at the net R&D, it has dropped significantly but these are kind of non-cash items that pertain to like decisions and things that happened beforehand. So they're kind of a bit harder to put them into some context. Well, if your music is too loud, where are you hearing? On YouTube? All right, well, we can always lower it. That's easy. Thank you for letting me know. All right. Let me know if now it's better. And the breakdown by franchise or subsidiary, they gave us the revenue breakdown by franchise or subsidiary. You can't really easily break down a P&L by product line. So doing that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So anyway, like this is it. They've cut sales and marketing expenses also by quite a bit. They slashed it almost in half. Like general sales and marketing expenses down 40%. So they've really reined sales and marketing expenses in very, very substantial way. And then they slashed general and admin expenses by a tiny bit, but this is like not a substantive change. Then there were some restructuring costs pertaining presumably to severance that they dealt with in the first half of 24, and pull it all together, like noting that there is a $70 million impairment charge here that is feeding into the operating profit. You go from a situation in the first half of 24 where they lost 33.3 million pounds. Again, keep in mind this is the first half of the year, and again, I think in terms of interpreting the numbers, keep in mind that for gaming companies, by far the best period is the holiday period at the end of the year. So like Christmas, Hanukkah, all that shebang. So the results in the first half of the year tend to understate the overall results of the company overall. So, but even then, Frontier managed to turn an operating profit and actually a net profit even after finance charges, which are kind of minimal, which is a sign, or I would argue has been interpreted as a sign that the company has successfully sort of altered its course, if not necessarily turned a corner, at the very least kind kind of like swung back up on the track of financial sustainability, which is why you see what you see here. You see the company going from being valued 90 million or 97 million to the company being valued roughly 200 million now. So doubling in value roughly over that period of time. So even then, we are a far cry from the almost 2 billion valuation that Frontier had at its peak. But times ebb and flow, and the success of companies can vary pretty wildly. So that's what I got for you, and that's what I learned about Frontier in my little sort of like digging about their annual and interim financial statements and reports. And again, I'm not a professional equity analyst. I certainly don't do coverage of Frontier developments. As I mentioned, I have no stock nor direct or indirect vested interest in the company, so I speak as lay person as they come. Oh, your phone was being generally insane. Okay, well, do I need to put the music back up? Do a fatalis or anyway? So the net revenue on ED is, or if it's requiring revenue from the other IPs. I mean, look, Frontier, I mean, Elite has no investment, practically none, right? It has the sort of tiny cast of characters involved in creating new ships, and that's just about it. Plus a group of people who I know are involved in some of the new features, but they are tiny teams by game industry standards. And so that 7 million, I would argue, I don't know how much goes to AWS to pay for the service, but not much. Maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million, I don't know. And maybe even less than that, honestly, considering the fact that there's 40,000 people connected at worst. And not even that, because they never connected at the same time. So there's maybe 20,000 people connected. So it's actually a lot less than that. It's going to be in the hundreds of thousands tops, not even million. And the rest is people cost. There's like they do no paid marketing for Elite, as they shouldn't. They have a quarter of a community manager or two. They have a handful of tech support people that I think are also shared among properties. And that's it. Like, they don't have any other expenses. So I think of that 7 million, the net profit margin is probably going to be, I don't know, if I was to hazard a guess, somewhere between 30 and 60%. So pretty good. So the game is profitable, is my guess. But it's profitable over very tiny revenues. So it's not going to move a needle, and it's not going to justify the existence of a company that I think has much broader ambition and also has like a track record of being a company that was valued 10 times what it is valued right now. So did they have payroll before accelerated comp on that P&L? No, they don't. But I'd be surprised. I don't know if they have accelerated compensation reporting. Now I'm kind of curious if we can see how much the execs are paid. They are a public company, so they kind of should have the executive compensation report. Financial and executive compensation. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They're not paid a lot. Like, the execs are really not paid a lot. Actually, let me pull it up here. I'll show you again what they're paid, what the CEO from developments is paid. Here it is. This is the compensation of the people involved. So Jonathan Watts, the CEO, is paid $354 grand. Braben gets $275, and then their CFO, Alex Babies, gets $271. James Dixon, the CEO, gets $204, and the chairwoman gets $71. Which is probably in line in terms of like the compensation of a board chair, in my experience of like public company board, probably on the higher side of larger companies. But Frontier used to be a larger company, so I guess there's a hangover in this kind of that. So yeah, these guys don't, I mean, it's not a bad salary. It's not like you're gonna go hungry on that salary, nor you nor your family for sure. But these are not people that are making millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? So I also don't know. I wonder if there's like any more information about their executive compensation plan, because in many cases, executives are also compensated on specific bonuses and incentives related to how the stock has done, and in terms of like how the financial results of the company have been. And because the financial results of the past years and the stock has performed so poorly, it's not surprising that there is no equity compensation. But again, I don't know. I kind of wonder. That's another thing that I'm like, hold on a second, I can find it. It's like those are generally stock. Bonuses, company profile, and facts. No. I mean, there's another article. Yeah, this just random information about directors getting their pay cut, but you know, directors generally are not there because they're paid. So, no. There's that. So yeah, that's yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, hey, fireworks. So huge. They announced that they're done. They're not doing Frontier Unlocked at all anymore. Like zero, zit. No more Frontier Unlocked. And by the way, guys, tell me how the music is, because I know I got people saying it's loud, it's not loud. If I need to change it, let me know. When she was still at FDev, I once got told by Paige to send my CV to them when she showed the EDR director VR they did. I mean, Mira J, you do a great employee of Frontier. I mean, there's some people in the community that if I worked at Frontier, they hire in an instant. Like, you'd be one of them. Jeweler would be another one of them. Ansik, he'd be my trailer guy instantaneously, and he'd do 150 times a better job than the official guy. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the Salvation video where they had the like Fargoid move around as sprites shooting laser bursts with these weird sound effects. It was so bad. It was just so bad. I'm like, I really hope like an intern did this for free, because like if they paid anybody to do this crap, I can't fathom it. Right? It's just so bad. And then you pull up "This Is Elite" from Commander Adsic, and you're just freaking blown away. It's like unbelievable art based on in-game footage alone, and it just blows your mind. Yeah, you're right. Frontier Development is not doing Frontier Unlocked going forward at all. They shut it down. They will now be only providing updates via individual videos on YouTube, and that is where it's going to be going forward. That is the truth. No more Frontier Unlocked. Oh, they removed the Salvation one from YouTube. It was just, I mean, I'm sure it got clowned on so badly because it was so bad, so bad. Like, I'm not surprised they removed it. It was just too bad. Oh, they made like guardianized me. Like, there's a guardian beacon behind me now too, by the way. Someone turn my prismatic shields back on at some point, please. I feel kind of naked without prismatic shields around me in my little box here. Thank you, appreciate it. So yeah, 50,000 shares is almost 200 million. That doesn't sound right at all, since the entire company is worth 200 million, Mr. Ghost Hack. I think you did your math somewhat wrong. You definitely do math way wrong. Where is the price? the price per share is $5. So 50,000 shares is $250,000, which again, in terms of a CEO owning stock in a company, like, again, if I was an investor, I would somehow expect the CEO to have a substantial part of their personal wealth invested in the company in terms of incentive alignment with me as a shareholder. That would be my expectation as a personal investor. It's not a rule. It's like how I tend to see about things and how to think about investing in companies. One of the many lenses that obviously look when you think about investing in companies. Now, there's that, but there's also the fact that, again, these executives, as you just saw from the public report, aren't compensated and aren't paid this crazy amount of money. So, yeah, no. I mean, if they had 200 million in a company, I would certainly not say that. But anyway. Generic shields also work. Yeah, that's fine. So it's a good question as to why did they do it? Like, why did they cancel Frontier Unlocked? Now, I think there's a number of reasons. Like, in my mind, and again, here I'm going to express some personal opinions. I think Arthur told me, like the former head community manager for Frontier, was really the life of the party of Frontier Unlocked. Like, he single-handedly carried the show. And he did a fantastic job of it, and everybody loved him. And there was just so much positive sentiment in Arthur doing Frontier Unlocked with his guests and with his style. And he was just, it's how can you not love Arthur? He was such a great guy. In fact, I reached out to him on LinkedIn. I told him that next time I'm in London on business, I'm going to buy him a beer. Now that he's not a Frontier, we can go and hang out and have a beer and chat without any kind of official qualms and any drama. So hopefully I get to take him out for a beer when I get sort of in the UK. But besides that, hey, Sharm, welcome to the stream. Hey, everybody, welcome to the stream, by the way. So besides that, so Arthur was the life of a show. Now they have a number of, I believe, really new people hosting. And I think they struggle somewhat in terms of like controlling the messaging and getting ahead of like what the community said and felt. Like, I have some responsibility in that because somebody leaked the pamphlet clipper before, like a week before it was announced at the Burpit convention. Horrible human being that person is. And so they certainly didn't like that. And then they went on and talked about how easy it was to put the hard points on the pamphlet clipper. And then we kind of showed that two of the hard points on the pamphlet clipper shot right straight through half of a ship, which was crazy, hilariously funny. So we actually ended up moving them. But that was, again, a source of hilarity tied to like the appearance of some of our developers on stream. Kind of like, nobody likes to be embarrassed that way. So since they felt they couldn't really control them, and by the way, there's a bunch of people again that were streaming on top and doing kind of like, backseat commenting like me as to what they were saying and saying this is true. What did I do wrong now? What was my skill issue? What happened? Like, why have I been skill issue? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, yes, Benji the NG. I did talk about the No Man's Sky ship interiors. I mentioned it on Discord. Somebody asked me whether Frontier was going to feel the pressure. I said, forget about it, not a chance in the universe. Again, skill issue. And then I said, in our Discord, in the XSF Discord, I said, everybody's going to care about No Man's Sky's ship interiors for exactly 2 days. And somebody replied something along the lines of like, yeah, and by the way, that's true, and that's true of like every No Man's Sky feature. I don't know. I don't know what the gameplay loop, again, keeps skill issuing me. Like, is a skill. Yeah, I know, right? The fact that they allowed it to leak was the skill issue, like, but whatever. Anyway, so, sure. Anyway, the bottom line is, they didn't necessarily feel that they control the narrative. The feedback and the sentiment around some of the latest Frontier Unlocked they did was not hugely positive. And by the way, totally for good reason, because the way I interpreted the last Frontier Unlocked was, hey guys, Vanguards is coming. Okay, thanks, bye. Done. That was it. Like, and like, you know, if you're gonna set like a expectation that you're gonna engage with a community and talk about what you're doing, you can't do that. Like, again, you're going to disappoint people, and the sentiment is going to be negative. So, like, either you kind of commit to doing it, but then you got to put some content and effort into that thing and live up to that expectation, or like they did, you don't do it, and instead you just put some videos in YouTube when you're ready. It's much easier. It's much easier to do that. It's much easier to manage the communication around that, but it's also a lot less engaging. So that honestly actually leaves more room for us to do, like, for us, the creators, to kind of do the Mechan Unlocks of the world, or the Ghost Giraffe Unlocked, or the Rainman Games Unlocked, or whatever it is. I wonder if Rainman is streaming right now, by the way. Like, I'm kind of like playing around with these Twitch features. I'm not sure how they work exactly. So at some point, I'm going to figure out how to do like collaborations and pull Rayman into some crazy madness thing that we're doing. Is there a Discord link for what, Mira J? I feel the shipping tiers would be a big deal in Elite for 2 weeks. Yeah, exactly. I mean, people keep saying we want shipping tiers in Elite Dangerous. What are you going to do inside these ships, guys? What are you going to do? Are you going to get off of your seat? Go where? To do what? While your ship is getting shot at and gets blown up in 30 seconds? Or you crash into a star because you're going straight into it? What exactly is the gameplay loop you guys envision with shipping tiers in Elite? I don't get it. I get the conceptual thing of it's nice to be able to walk around your ship, but it's nice for 5 minutes. After that, what is there to do inside a ship? Multi-crew is broken beyond belief. After CQC, it's the most broken part of the game, and they're never going to fix it. It's just broken beyond repair. So why do you want... Oh, my Discord, Nira J. It's the Xenostrike Force Discord. You're part of it, no? Have you applied to Xenostrike Force? I can't remember if you ever applied. But anyway, I can post a link to the Xenostrike Force website, and there's an application. Xenostrike Force. I'm trying to click. There's an application in the top right, and then you can apply there, and when you apply, will be pulled into the Discord. This is the chat. Yeah, no, I mean, we can do... I can figure out how to do a poll here, like a multi-poll. / commands and mode commands users. Send to all. Toggle. Let me see if I can do it. Emotes commands users. YouTube. Oh gosh, this is very complicated. Send to all. How do I do it? No. I might have to do it individually on each platform, but I'm gonna try. This also teaches me how to do it on Twitch, which I have no clue how to do. There should be a button or something. Send message. Bits, create clip. Turn on shield mode chat settings. Where is create poll under Twitch? Mysteries of Twitch. How about chat, edit layout? I give up. I don't know how to do it, the poll. Here's a poll. You can have one of these shipping tiers or the current instant cargo transfer. You mean, what's the current instant cargo transfer? I'm not sure what it is. But if it's anything that has to do with quality of life in the current game, I'll take that over shipping tiers any second. Right. Yeah, it surely adds to immersion, but again, how often do you actually work around your ship? I don't know. Not often. Racing gameplay loops would be fun. Yeah, shipping tiers. Yeah, no reason to exist. I agree with Visit Kitty there. I don't know about the viewership. Like, if you look at the volume of like viewers on, I think they had what 6,000-7,000 people on Twitch when they streamed on Frontier Unlocked. I think that was pretty good. So it's a good question, Dr. Guy11. No, I have believe it or not, I've never purchased and I've never installed anything related to Star Citizen. And the reason I never did it is because I, from the beginning, loathed their monetization model. Like this concept of selling ships like permanently for disproportionate amount of money, that just ticked me off so bad that I'm like, this is not something I want to support, kind of thing. Even if the game is amazing. And at some point, maybe eventually they'll draw me in. If as games get out of beta in 2092, maybe. If I'm still around, which probably won't be at that time, but whatever. Third Fargoid War where humanity strikes back when? I've been clamoring for it. I'm like, guys, we need a permit to call 70. We gotta go and smash their homeworld. I'm ready to go. I know everyone's here is ready to go, so just give us the permit and we are off. But I've also sent a few emails to Frontier community managers say that we could do some cool events. However, I am presently, I think, not in the best of graces of Frontier developments. So I have not gotten a response. I was not necessarily expecting a response. I was hoping that maybe there was a response because it would be fun to do an event around that, but not happened. Yeah, more Titans would be fun. The original NFT on Scam Citizen. Yeah. Like physical cargo. Current is instant magic cargo in your hold, no physical transfer. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean, Mirajay. It's like the no physical transfer. You mean that they should take time to load cargo in your hold? Is that the question? Yeah, no, I certainly wouldn't want the cargo to take time to load in your hold, if that's the kind of like question. You think we're going to get a new CG tomorrow or still on a break from the past one that was so long? Oh, I am positive that we have a mining CG coming, like almost guaranteed. They need something to sell their new mining ship, and mining isn't exactly all that popular. I mean, there's a good community that does mining, but it's not huge. And so I think they'll want to try and get people mining by offering some kind of FOMO module to people who go and mine a bunch of platinum or rocks or whatever it is they want them to mine. But I don't have any inside information or any particular knowledge. Like the one thing I'm thinking about doing is potentially updating the guide, the colonization mega guide to the Vanguard's to the latest Vanguard's economic changes. But I kind of feel I still don't have enough information, and I'm not 100% precise. And after confusing the heck out of everybody about how this sell for large profits works, I want to make sure that the next thing I do instead is like razor sharp precise. What do you guys think that a new mining laser will do? I think it will mine rocks. That would answer to that question. I know it's not a great answer, but that's the answer I got. Ship in Tears plus cargo takes time to load, or the way it is now? Oh, I mean the way it is now, not an iota of a doubt. For me at least. I don't know what the others think. Love to hear their thoughts. But for me, the idea of like wasting even more time loading cargo, no thank you. Yeah, no, we there might be more Fargoid stuff coming. Again, I don't know that we know exactly what is coming, but there could be stuff coming. And by the way, this was kind of like started as like, let's go do some stuff, and turned out into a just chatting kind of stream, and let's do some financial analysis of Frontier developments as a company kind of thing. So like a bit all over the place. You could invite our streamers monthly to chat about Elite no gameplay. That's a great idea, Michael. I agree. I actually have a few ideas like how that could work. Actually, pretty good idea. Does your merit points gold trick still work as of now? Yeah, absolutely. It does. And I think you saw the instructions that I had created. I think I have them loaded as an image here somewhere. I believe. Actually, I don't, but I can load it quickly. So let me do that. This is the instructions. 1 second. There you go. Just set them up correctly. All right, there you go. Okay, bring them on. This is the very simple and very straightforward instructions, as you can see. You can find them on Reddit. You can find them also on my YouTube channel. There's a post there that has these images that have the sort of very simple instructions on how to do this. This is the instructions. And there's a sample search in Inara for the wash station, and a sample confirmation of how to confirm that the wash station works, and then a sample search for the cell station. So that's the stuff. I'm not gonna go through it right now, as this stream is gonna last another 3 hours, and I actually need to get some sleep at some point. I should get into the habit of rating someone else's stream when you end. That's a good idea. We'll do that today. We'll do that today. Let's see who is on, because like there's a bunch of creators on Twitch that I'm a big fan of, and I'd be delighted to raid them. And then there's others that I'm not quite as in love with, and so sure I would do that. Some of my closest friends on Twitch are not online right now. Trying to see like if I can even see who is online. All right, open a new tab. It's not working. Open a new tab. Create a dashboard. All right. Back to Twitch. So who is online? Yeah, nobody I particularly feel like rating, to be honest. Looking for somebody at least I don't know that looks inspirational as far as rating them is concerned. But I don't know, like nobody looks all that inspirational at streaming right now. Live channels. My real life career, I work in business. I am a partner of a global management consulting company. Yamix is a friend. Yamix would be on the list of people I'd be happy to raid. Like, he has a very different style from mine, like for sure. But I like him. I think I like the fact that he really loves the game. Like he has a much more confrontational style than I do. Not that I'm particularly friendly, like, but still. Yeah, he takes it all the way up 3 notches. Yeah, no, he and I get along pretty nicely. Like Yamix is a friend, I would call him, like as far as creators are concerned. Like, and it can also kind of like see us getting along for a while. I mean, we're different, but you know, the thing is, yes, he's very critical and he curses like nonstop, which instead I run very much PG-13 type of streams. Yeah, we did do a few things together. Like we had a number of collaborations, and every time I have to kind of censor my YouTube because it's gonna get demonetized for that particular stream. But it's fun. It's like one of those things you do for fun, not because it's yeah, it was at Spire Sites, that's right. Like he did Spire Sites, and then he did some video of some guide, and he asked me to do the segment around spires. I think I still have it somewhere. But I was like a Mechan segment inside a Yamix video, and like, yeah, it was like Yamix showing up to like a Mechan event. So, but yeah, no, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Yamix. Like, he was streaming now. I'd certainly be rating him, but I don't know. Does he stream on Twitch? I mean, I totally new to Twitch, or like still learning also the ropes of YouTube. So like, not sure I'm. Oh, thanks. I'm supposed to be streaming right now, but I'm not home right now. I'll totally raid you, JD Mew. Actually, I think can I add you as a favorite thing? You say block report. No. See, that's the thing. I don't think I know how Twitch works at all. I think that's part of the issue is my skill issue. JD Mew. Not you. Or is it you? Is this you? The thing is, it's hard to find people on. Yeah, that is you. I actually added you and I removed you because I didn't think it was you, but it is you. JD Mew. Alright, there you go. Added to my favorites. I don't know what. Oh, I've been favoritized. I don't know what adding you to and guardianized. I don't know what adding you to my favorites does, but I guess it does something. So we can do things on Twitch together. I don't know, something like that. Thanks for a follow, Radanak6953, or however that's pronounced. You were not accepted, Scott. Why did you not accept you? I mean, usually, if I recognize people, I will generally accept them, but like, I've been guardianized again. But if I don't recognize people, then I get a lot of random requests, and they're usually people who want to kill me in game. So, sorry if I don't accept them all. I'm giving away a new PC when I hit 10,000 subs on YouTube, which would be like next week. Oh well, thank you for a follow, Pudge Brownie. Yeah, 10,000 subs are probably next week, right? I'm giving away a new PC. No, but I did give away a lot of free anacondas. Maybe I should do something in game. Like, what should be a fun giveaway in game with like some kind of celebration? Oh, Scott Arley. Okay, well now I know what your in-game name is. See, I had no idea. Like, sorry, I didn't make the connection at all. Like, it's hard to kind of figure out what people's commanders in-game names are if you don't know that for a fact already. So, like, kind of tricky one. Could never drop weapons on Mechan. Learn from you. Well, glad I've been helpful. Like, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you, Crawl. Yes, we did give away 203 anacondas for real at the defenders of Hutton Orbital during the Battle of Salt. That was an amazing part of an amazing event. So, well, who gets banned? Well, first of all, that was hilarious. So, as sorry as I feel for Commander Plotu and as championing the free Plotu campaign as I've been doing, I do think there's a hilarious meme aspect to it, which basically is, if you kill Commander Mechan, you get banned for a week, which I think is kind of hilarious. I grew up in Italy, but I live in New York City in the US. I've been here for like 15 years, so thoroughly Americanized at this point in time. Do a couple of AXI custom builds with the mats to upgrade. I wish I could give mats away. I have no idea how to give mats away in game, so unfortunately I don't think I can do that. Otherwise I'd be delighted to do that as an in-game event or reward. A ban week, yeah, he ended up cashing 60 billion because like the additional 10 billion was tied to conditional bonuses that didn't manifest itself. So it ended up being 60, but still a pretty good chunk of change. No, you can't give mats away with the squadron carrier. I wish, Shugo, and you can't also give away engineered ships. You can only give away unengineered ships, which absolutely sucks. They give Mats a spot of the power play care packages, so Mechan is there at least for Frontier. Well, I mean, you can do it, but I'm not part of Frontier, so I can't do it that way. Do I play in VR? It's not ideal for streaming. No, it's not ideal for streaming. I did have VR. I had the original Oculus Rift, and I had a Valve Index, but I sold them both. I sold the Rift when I got the Index, and then I had the Index for a while, and then I had it sitting there for like 6 months. I used it free time in 6 months, and I'm like, why am I keeping this expensive paperweight here? And I sold it. It's amazing. The experience is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it is very limiting in terms of like the actual spatial experience around you. Like here in streaming, you should see the amount of like things I have open on these two different screens. There's no way I'd be able to do anything in VR. I have a Tobii eye tracker, which I should set it back up so that it works. There's also on Twitch, there's also the Tobii Ghost. Like if you move to like the overlay, you should be able to click and enable the Tobii Ghost, which is currently not active, obviously, because the Tobii eye tracker is not on. But it's also like something interesting that it lets your viewers see where your eyes are looking on the screen. I don't know. I think that's a cool additional thing. Yeah, it'd be a cool thing, but I mean, I don't know. Help winner collect mass faster. You can't really do that in game practically. So I don't know. Like, but it would like the core idea, which is to do something in game for it, would be really fun. I completely agree. That what specifically, I think we need to think about it a little bit. Yeah, I know. Like non-engineered ships is incredibly limiting, but the implication of gifting engineered ships would be ground shaking as far as the mechanics of the game are concerned. So it was a difficult trade-off. I understand why they made that decision. I'm not sure it's the right one, but I understand why they did it. Yeah, I mean, the problem with me with a Tobii eye tracker, especially when I'm streaming like this, is I got two screens, right? So this is like my gameplay screen on my left, and this is like my whole streaming control on my right, which has 17 windows open with 22 different things. And so I constantly kind of look left and right. Like I might be focused on the gameplay, but then I kind of turn around and see what you guys are saying in chat, and then go back to gameplay and so on and so forth. And so doing it this way, like with Tobii eye tracker, it kind of like constantly looks like the ship is sort of swirling left. It looks very weird. So again, for streaming, it's tricky, right? I agree. Meister Goes Hacked. It would be great if they let us do some of those things. I mean, I've argued, and actually, when I was a member of a partner program, as briefly as I was a member of a partner program, one of the conversations I had with the community managers at the time was like, "Hey, why don't you let us design a ship for the ARX store and brand it with a community branding? So, for example, a ratting ship designed by the Fuel Rats, or an antique Xeno ship designed by the AXI, or a trading ship designed by the Pirate Trade Network." I think those would sell like hotcakes. Like they'd be pushed by their communities like crazy. It would result in like so good vibes and such good overall, I think, feeling engagement that. But they didn't take me up on it. And instead they sold Chieftain that has the weirdest configuration I've ever seen for an X ship, but practically nobody bought. So, or 2M2S Crate Mark II by Mechan. Yeah, that would be a signature ship, but it would be like a bit of a meme ship, so I wouldn't do that. But yes, if I was to sell a Mechan branded ship, it would have to be that one for sure. Yeah, especially if they have like a branded livery. Oh, now with sort of Squadrons piece, you can somehow can do it with the Squadron logos, which is nice. And thank you, Buttercocks, for a follow. Appreciate it. I put all 4 engineered cargo racks on my cutter, and now I am up to 850. That's nice. I put them on my Panther. I know, Crawl, right? Isn't it? I mean, look, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the Frontier development, community management cadre is afraid. I think they're afraid of engaging with the community, and I don't know why. I don't know if because they've been chastised by management, or they don't feel empowered to do it, or we've been mean to them in the past, which might be true, and as a result, they don't trust us. That might be a factor too. But put it all together, it's hard to say that the Frontier community managers trust the community. That personal opinion. Hey Beastie, good morning. And I mean, resources are a thing, but it doesn't take a lot of resources. In fact, it takes practically no resources to have different communities design ships that then go into the Ark store. What kind of resources does that take? Nothing. It takes maybe someone to take the AXI logo or Canon's logo for some kind of research ship, or the, again, PTN logo for a trade ship, or the GGI logo for a PvP ship, or ... right? I mean, there's massive communities that are focused around particular activities in game and that are incredibly good at designing builds for their particular activity of interest. I don't know. It was one of my things of like, why not? Why not? So, I mean, the UI, I don't know the UI. Like, again, there are things that are available in the store, so you don't need to do any UI of any kind. Again, you can choose to add a logo if you buy it. That'd actually be nice to see the AXI logo in game. But I think it's like all those things that the lawyers come up and say, but we don't have the rights to the logo, so somebody could sue us, or we get in trouble, and then do we really want to deal with that? I mean, imagine us suing Frontier Developments because they used AXI's logo on a ship. I mean, it's only something that a lawyer paid by the hour could come up with, in my mind. It ain't gonna happen, but whatever. Like, corporate people need to listen to their lawyers. It's part of a game of being a manager or an executive in a corporation. Like, you gotta trust them. So if they tell you can't use the logo because you don't have the rights, then this is what it is. But you could also get the rights, because Jurlo, who created the XI logo, would sign a release in an instant if they told them that they were going to put it on a ship. I can promise you that. Yeah, the rats have the decal, but they never created sort of a in-game build for a ratting ship. So yeah, the Titan Bomber crate was surprisingly good. Of all the ships that they put in the store, the Titan Bombing crate was the least garbage. The fact that it had a shield was idiotic, but other than that, it was actually a pretty decent ship for its task. And easy to fix, because like, you drop that shield, you put a hard reinforcement package, and you're pretty much good to go. All right. I know, Mr. Ghost Shack. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, that would be very, very easy problem to solve. But again, you need to see the opportunity, and I don't think they see the opportunity. And it's a bit of a sort of, again, and I'm not revealing any particular secrets here. Like, even the Elite Partner Program, like, if you look at the engagement they have with their creators, it's truly minimal, right? You get a week early access to the new ships, which then you can stream. It's nice, but not all that special. You get some initial sort of early information, which usually is also not a lot and not that groundbreaking. So, like, it's really, there's this situation where, for whatever reason, the company fears the community and does not trust that we're going to do things in the interest of a game and of a company. And I understand, like, sometimes I might feel that way. Like, the fact that I leaked the Panther Clipper Mark II, which, by the way, I didn't leak. It was posted on Reddit a month before I publicized it. So I just said, hey, somebody on Reddit posted a month ago about the Panther Clipper coming to a game, and here's exactly what it's going to look like. And by the way, it turned out to be exactly that. So yeah, they didn't particularly appreciate that. But again, it was out there, right? So whatever. So yeah, guys, this has been a really cool, nice chatting stream. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Appreciate you being here. Hope the Mechan Unlocked lived up to expectations with our dissecting of Frontier's financials and financial performance. I'm sure there's going to be more opportunity to get back together and continue this beautiful tradition of hanging out. And per your suggestions, maybe we'll also bring a few creative friends on and have some cool dual thing of some kind or some other. Glory to mankind. Commander Mechan, over and out.